So it was time for a step up from the DJI Action. I went ahead and skipped the Action 2 because I didn't like its form factor. Nothing against DJI, but the form factor I didn't like. The DJI Action 3 is now in my hand, and this is not going to be a comprehensive review. You know why? Because I've had the Action camera actually for less than 24 hours. But there will be a very comprehensive review, probably a good 20-minute video just regarding the Action 3 in comparison to the original DJI Osmo Action. We'll throw in a GoPro Hero 10, we'll throw in a GoPro Hero 11, but I really want to see how that this camera performs, just straight out of the box. Now, of course, with DJI products, you have to hook it up to the app to be able to activate the camera. Now, when I did that, I made sure that I had a USB Type-C plugged into the battery so that it was a full charge going on, but I didn't put an SD card in. The reason why, I wanted to see the factory firmware, how it performed. So I'm going to show you a little clip from yesterday, right after I got the camera and had activated it, just what the initial firmware looked like. And then afterwards, it kept prompting me, hook up to the Mimo app to get the latest firmware. So obviously, it wanted me to firmware update. So I went ahead and did that firmware update. So the first clip that I'm going to show you today is from yesterday, the initial factory firmware, and I'll put that up on the screen of what version number that was, and then the version number after I had to update it through the Mimo app. And let's go ahead and take it out to the park and see how this thing performs in a couple different resolutions. Just like I said, it's not a review. I just got the camera. I have to kind of put it through its paces, but I want to share some of the initial footage with you just to see how it looks and all that stuff. And by the way, if you want to know what came in the box is very simplistic. It's a very small box. You get the camera itself, you get the cage for it, which is really nice because you can shoot either horizontally or vertically with the cage. You get that cool little magnetic clip mount that comes on the bottom. You get a USB Type-C to Type-C. You have to supply the little power brick that goes into the wall, and that's basically what you get. Anyway, enough of that. Let's look at some footage now. Well, it is, 6:04. Pretty day. Just got the Action 3. Charged it up. Didn't even update the firmware. Just went ahead and did the activation without an SD card. Of course, I stick an SD card and ask for me to connect to the Mimo app to download the latest firmware, which I didn't want to do because I just want to see how the camera performs with its factory firmware. And yeah, I'm going to do a lot of tests with close focusing distance and all that jazz to see how it does. This is about that far away. Well, it's been a long time wait, but it's the first look of the DJI Action 3. No, this will not be a comprehensive review. This is just going to be kind of a first look. Look at some of the resolutions, how the stabilization is, how the audio is out of this camera. And yes, there will be a comprehensive review. There will be some comparison reviews because that's going to be really, really important. But I want to see right now just how the image quality looks. And let's see how the dynamic range is. Got the sun behind me. See how it's compensating. Going into a dark area. And then we're just going to test some little video samples around here at the park. Okay, this is 1080p, 30 frames per second with rock steady on. Now this is 2.7K 30 frames per second. Rock steady on. And back to 4K 30 frames per second with rock steady on. There's one thing I really have to say that I do like about the Action 3 is that both the front screen and the rear screen, where like on the original Action you had to choose one or the other, with this one they're both on, which is really nice because you can flip it around, boom, you don't have to worry about changing screens and all that. And another thing to note is that the Action 3, the screen is very, very bright, not just on the back screen but also on the front screen. Anyway, tell me in the comment section below, what do you think about the Osmo Action 3? Just the initial footage. What do you think it looks like? I will say one thing. I'm a little bit disappointed in the bit rate in 4K 30. It only comes in at 89 megabits per second. So that's a little bit of a downfall for me. But I think that when DJI does release a firmware update to address a couple of things with this camera and also offer that 10-bit, I really think that the bit rate of this camera in 4K 30 is going to shoot way up. I think it's probably going to be around 120 to 130. That's just a guesstimate on my part. But anyway, I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on what the video looked like, how the audio sound to you. Tell me in the comment section below. And as always, I'll catch you in the next review. Bye-bye. Get the burps out of the way. Well, as you know, I've had to wait a while. First got the camera, I went ahead and of course you got to hook it up to the Mimo app to initialize it. You got to hook it up. You got to check this dude out. You see him? He was just laying there at spread eagle. By the way, don't you like the little blurry background? The 1.4 aperture is just really, really nice.